What's going on, guys? I finally decided to do my first video. This will be one of my first videos I've ever made, so forgive me if it's bad, but my name's Tyler. Welcome to the channel. Let's get right into the video. So today I'm going to be showing you guys how to install a front mount intercooler kit on a Nissan Silvia S15. Here's mine. So I started tearing this thing apart, and then I realized, wait, I should make a video, maybe helping others out. So some of the parts are back in, some aren't. For example, there's this little piece coming off the intercooler that it was a struggle to get out, so I just decided to leave it off. There is my new kit. It's an S14, S15 specific, so hopefully it fits okay. So yeah, let's get right into the video. Alright, so the first step for you guys, we're gonna take off this hose clamp and this hose clamp, which in return will be able to take off this pipe going into the intake. So we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna take off this piece here, which is just these two bolts, and then this hose clamp as well. When I work, I like to wear gloves, so these hose clamps, these will be 8 mils, and then the two other bolts that we need to take off will be 10 mils. Alright, now as you can see, you got that hose clamp loose, this one loose, it's a little bit tight there, this one loose, and then this whole pipe, as you can see, it's loose. So we're gonna rip that out, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, there are two more hoses that we need to disconnect. There is this one here, which is just a vacuum hose, which goes down, I don't know if you can see in there, down into there, which goes into the intake. And then there's also this hose here, which is another hose clamp, which goes into the stock recirculating valve. So we'll need to disconnect that hose, or both those hoses as well. Alright guys, now normally this black pipe here, which will be your cold side intercooler piping, this will come down and connect to your intercooler by this little pipe here, but it was a big pain in the getting it out, so I just left it. But yeah, just so you know, this will be connected just by a hose clamp, and then there's two bolts here that bolt onto the intercooler right there. Okay, now the next step, we are gonna focus on the stock recirculating valve, which I will no longer need because I have a aftermarket blow-off valve, which I will be putting on. So this is what we will be taking out. This thing right here, it connects to the intercooler piping right there, and then right there as well, which is you return back into the air intake. And then there is a little vacuum line going from here to the blow-off valve, or the recirculating valve, sorry, but I lost it, so I couldn't show that part to you guys. Alright, now that we got some better light, as you can see, there are two hose clamps going in to the recirculating valve. There's one here and then one down there, and then there are two bolts on the bottom of this bracket which bolts to the body of the car. So that's what we're going to take off next. And then on this side, this was the pipe that we had to disconnect to take off that other pipe. And then here is the return pipe, which goes to the air intake. So this is just held on by a hose clamp, so we'll get that done. The two bolts, and then these two hose clamps, and we should be able to rip that thing out. All right, and there it is, guys. So we got the 2 bolts down here on the bottom, which bolt to the body of the vehicle. And then we got this hose clamp and this hose clamp, and then we should just be able to pull it straight out. So next, what we're gonna wanna do is work on the intercooler itself. So we got most of the piping out, so now we're gonna move on to the intercooler. So as I already showed you, this piece is already out. So let me grab a light here. That's a little bit better for you guys. All right, so there are a couple brackets here. So there's one up here, right up there, and then there is one right down there. And then there is another 2 right up here, which you guys will see. And then we should be able to take it out. Got the intercooler out, and this is what we're looking at here. So there's the 1 bolt here, so this is how it's gonna sit. So it's sitting like this. So we got this pipe here, which goes down in this little hole. And then there is a bolt right there that we need to take out. And there are 2 bolts here, which I showed you, which mount up here on the other side of this piece here. And then there are 2 more here and here, which mount down there and up here. And then this piece normally would sit like that on there. So then you got those 2 bolts and then a hose clamp that goes from there to this pipe right here that goes to your turbo. And then there is a bolt up here which should bolt down into there. Okay, so now that we got that out, what we got left is this piece here, which goes straight to your turbo. And there should be a vacuum line that you need to disconnect that went to this one. And then that should be all the old intercooler and intercooler piping. And then we can start putting in the new one. So let's get to it. All right, guys, so we got those 2 hose clamps off there and this one down here. So we should just be able to pull this off, and awesome. So this is all of the old intercooler piping. And then of course we got the intercooler there. So now this is what it looks like. No more pipe here. Oh, we actually got to disconnect the return line here. So we'll go ahead and do that, which it should be 1 bolt here, 1 bolt down here, and 2 hose clamps there. And then just these clips holding this wire on, and we should be able to rip that out. All right, guys, so that'll basically do it for the removal of the old intercooler piping. All right, and there are a couple things that you need to do first in order to be able to fit the front mount intercooler. First thing would be is that you need to relocate your battery a little bit. Basically, I just soldered some more wire on there. Like I just extended the wiring so I could turn it sideways. Because as you can see, I already have a hole cut. So you cut it through your battery tray, because this is where the cold side intercooler piping goes. This is a 3.5-inch hole that I cut. And then, yeah, I do know you will need a plug for this, which I have not gotten yet. And yeah, let's basically get into the install. Alright guys, so unfortunately that's all we can do for it today. I got one of the pipes for my intercooler, one of the new ones. It's at a shop right now, a welding shop. I had to get a little flange welded on for my blow-off valve. And then I am also waiting on a coupler for my hot side piping, which goes into the turbo. But I will give you guys a little view of my new intercooler that's going to be going in. So here it is. We got the piping and then the core intercooler itself. This is just a cheap eBay kit. I figured I'd try it, see how bad it is. I mean, the way I see it, it can't really go too wrong. It's just air flowing through, so we'll see. Yeah, the only really complaint with it so far is that one of the couplers doesn't work, which is why I need to grab that new one. So I have that ordered, but hopefully tomorrow or next week it'll be here, and then we can do the install video for you guys. All right, and another thing I forgot to show you guys was that you obviously need to take off your bumper. So there are the bottom screws, which help which hold on to your skid plates. And then there are these two on each side. And then these two, which if you pop your hood, you'll be able to see them. And then these two as well on each side. And then, yeah, to get to these ones on the side, you'll just want to take out your wheel wells, and you should have access to them. So yeah, that's that.